We are live, live,
Woo,
live.
woo, woo.
Hello, everyone. You are back with us again with Wellness Wednesday with none other than Hephzibah Beulah, who is the registered nurse. We get ready to share first, so give us a moment so we can share this live out to all our places.
Good morning, everybody. I'll be back.
Right. Make sure that I'm sharing it out as well to all the places. Let's see here. As you jump on, I see we got somebody on now. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Drop in the comments below where you're chiming in from, and I am just sharing this live out to all the places. And excuse my voice, I am hoarse. I've been doing a lot of talking here lately.
I'm back.
You back? And look, I'm still over here trying to figure this thing out. All right, I believe I'm back now. Hold on. Uh, Share. There it is. Okay. I don't know why my screen keep going out. That's weird. Okay. All right. I've shared it. All right. So today we are going to be talking about pain as it relates to everything, right? From regular pain to like a little minor headache to chronic pain and why it's important to tackle that pain and get relief, right? Because it's so important because pain can cause all kind of things in our bodies. And I love the fact that we have a registered nurse that can really break it down to you all today about pain and why it's important to tackle it and why it's important to make sure that what we don't have pain, right? All right, Hepzibah, while I'm still trying to do some things over here, start talking to the people about pain more than I know about pain.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to shout out Texas. That's where my girl B is located in DeSoto, Texas. Shout out to Texas. I'm so proud and excited to be connected to Texas through my girl. I also have two beautiful daughters and my granddaughter in Houston. So I got a special affinity for Texas, the Lone Star State. And I am here in cold Georgia. Y'all know I was just in Orlando a few days ago and I'm about ready to go back now. This 28-degree morning. It ain't sitting well. It ain't sitting well with your girl. But anyway, while she gets herself together, I am Hephzibah Beulah, RN, Wellness, Health, and Beauty Practitioner of the Lady of Faith Wellness, LLC. And I love, love, love taking my 26 years experience as a registered nurse um, to educate, empower, and facilitate sustainable steps to wellness, health, and beauty. So, uh, like V said, pain impacts you on so many levels, especially if you've had chronic pain, which there is a clinical definition for chronic pain. So to me, chronic pain is any type of pain that lasts 3 months or longer. I know the medical association has a definition, and I ain't gonna lie, I don't know what it is, but I consider it chronic after 3 months. Like if it just won't go away after 3 months, I think it may even be shorter than that by the actual definition. But anyway, whether it's arthritis, bulging disc, sciatica, neuropathy, fibromyalgia, lupus, motor, any type of injury, sports injuries, or just playing the sport over an extended period of time can cause chronic pain. Different types of job. People have carpal tunnel, which is very painful from doing repetitive actions. Chronic pain can come from so many different places, which is don't let me forget, V. That's a big part of why the Fab Five may be needed initially. Also, just arthritis, the degeneration and wear and tear of joints over time. That's something that really nobody can avoid, but you can mitigate it by doing certain things. Um, So the main thing as a registered nurse that I've noticed about chronic pain is the I'm gonna go from the most immediate dangerous impact to the ones that affect like lifestyle and quality of life. So with chronic pain, one thing about any type of pain is automatically gonna affect your vital signs. So sometimes with my quieter patients, my shy patients are the ones who don't want to complain. It maybe it's against their culture to complain or even make a face. They won't even make faces in some cultures if they're in pain. But I know they're in pain when I see those vitals off the chart. When I see the heart rate up 100, 110, 120, and there's nothing else going on, and I know that there's a reason they should be in pain, like post-surgical, or whatever. Their vitals tell me that they're in pain. And we know the consequence of elevated high blood pressure for prolonged periods can result in stroke, different types of issues that are not favorable. It's stressful on the kidneys, can damage the kidneys and so on and so forth. So that's an immediate danger of being in pain prolonged, is meaning prolonged abnormal vitals, which can cause other life-threatening situations, like heart attack, stroke, so on and so forth. So I want to make sure I address that initially. But as far, and then what it also affects is how much you move. If you're in pain, if it hurts to move your shoulder, if it hurts to bend your knee, guess what you're going to do without even thinking about it? You're going to do what we call guard it. Okay? You're going to guard it. How do you guard it? If it hurts you to raise your arm like this, you're only going to raise it to here. Wherever it starts to hurt, you're only going to go as high as the pain. So you guard it. You guard it by not using it to its fullest. You're not going to extend that full range of motion. You're not going to bend that leg all the way out, or you're going to limp, and then you're going to start to injure the hip on the other side because you're limping. So you being in extended pain, having chronic pain for extended periods can cause you to injure other parts of your body because you're guarding or protecting. So you're not putting as much weight on the joint, or you're not extending it as much as you could or would if it wasn't in pain. So you run into the problem of injuring other areas. And you also run the risk of permanently decreasing that range of motion. So and that's why you may see people in like a nursing home, they're contracted, they're like this, or they may be balled up, the legs or the feet are contracted because the range of motion is no longer there. And what happens, it hardens. The joints harden, they calcify because of lack of movement. So even if a person can't move themselves, it's very important that a caregiver pulls those muscles out, does what we call passive range of motion. And that's something you can Google. That's something that you can Google how to do it at home. If you have an incapacitated person that you're taking care of, or they can't, they're limited mobility or whatever, and they can't move. If they've had a stroke, maybe they can move the right side, but the left side is hemiparesis or hemiparalysis, and they can't lift. So you can lift it for them. You have to lift it for. A lot of times you'll see stroke patients do it for themselves. They'll take the good side and they'll move, because you got to keep it, even if it's paralyzed, you got to keep it moving, keep the blood flow going to that area, because if you don't move it, you're going to have decreased blood flow, which increases the damage, the long-term damage. The longer it goes without good blood flow, the less the chance of rehabilitating it. And then we certainly don't want the calcification, which causes the contractures. So, yeah. So that I'll let you talk. I can go on and on. So, I've seen so much in 26
Yeah,
years.
I'm sure, and that's why I love the fact that you can come on and break that stuff down, because I think a lot of time people, when they talk about pain, like you say, you guard it, you do the things that you don't want to do because you're like, if I do that side, it's going to hurt, and it also brings in a fear factor, right? And I've noticed that going out helping people with the patch and stuff, they're like, well, oh, I just don't want to try to move it, right? And so it brings me back to talk about the Fantabulous Five, right? The Fantabulous Five, when we talk about that chronic pain. Chronic pain, in my mindset, is that pain that you can take your medication sometime and it's like, I can deal with it, right? It's like, well, it's tolerable, but I still kind of feel it. Rather than just a headache where I can take a pill or something. It's like, okay, it subsided or whatever, right? But that chronic pain is like a nagging pain. Sometimes it feel like it got a heartbeat.
It does. Take it from a chronic pain sufferer. It does.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh my God, you feel it throbbing, you're throbbing. And so what I've learned is that in super patch, of course, we're talking about super patch, right? Um, why we do the Fantabulous Five. What are they? Let's talk about it because some people may be coming on our line and like, what are they talking about? So
Yeah.
this is your Fantabulous Five. All right. This is our chronic pain combo. Freedom, defend, peace, victory, and liberty. And today what we're going to do is help you understand why do we recommend the Fantabulous Five. Because I've ran into a few people that when I tell them they need 5 patches, they're like, why do I need all 5 of those? And I try to explain it to them. The freedom is for minor pain. You got a headache, you stubbed a toe, it's just minor pain. But we pair them together to give them that immediate relief on the spot. So let's talk about it, Hephzibah.
Okay. So let's start with the freedom. Let's start with
The
freedom
freedom?
because I wanna.
All right, we're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
with freedom.
Okay. So the freedom patch, in the super patch company, there are 13 varieties of patches that all have different indications, meaning they all are indicated for 13 separate, different issues or wellness symptoms or what have you that impact the quality of your life and your wellness. So the freedom patch, I liken that in the freedom patch is important because it's the one that is designated as the pain patch. So you can get relief from pain through the liberty and the victory, and we'll talk about those. So
Mm-hmm.
when we patch people, a lot of times, and I'm sure B has had this experience, when she's done the stability test with the freedom, I'm sorry, with the liberty or the victory patches, a lot of times people get instant gratification and decrease their pain level just off of those two because of the way they work. So we'll come back to that. The freedom patch, she mentioned throbbing. Okay, there's different types of pain. There's throbbing pain, there's sharp pain, there's burning pain, there's where you feel like a tenderness, there's an ache, a dull ache, a sharp ache. So with that being said, when the nurses come around and they do their pain assessment, they might say, what's your pain on a scale of 0 to 10? They may say, what type of pain? Is it stabbing? Is it aching? Is it throbbing? That's going to denote the type of pain. The freedom, I like to put on the freedom V after I've put on the liberty and or the victory, because I like to save the freedom for last. If you have on a liberty and a victory, that's going to take care of the aching, like the aches.
Right.
Okay. So you may be, if you got arthritis in your knees, okay, or you may be bone on bone. Bone on bone, you're not hurting usually when you're at rest, or at least it's not that 7 to 10 extreme pain. It may be because I think people that have bone on bone have pain whether they're sitting, standing, no matter what. By the time they have bone on bone, they're always hurting, but they can tolerate the 5. They've gotten to where you can tolerate the 5 but when they stand, it's at a 10. Why? Because now the bone is on the bone when you're putting that pressure. So the freedom helps with when you see people with knee pain and they do this right here, they're rocking and they thinking about it because they know because of the pain they can't just do this.
Right.
The pain makes them guarded, so they know they gotta shoot up fast enough to get past where it hurts, that pain threshold, and so they don't want to fall, because if they don't go all the way up, they may fall if they don't make it all the way up. So they don't even know that, they don't even know they're thinking like this. This is like in rapid
Wow.
time and conditioning. So the freedom patch, what that's gonna do, once, because they may feel pain free when they're sitting down bending their knees, but once they get up and get their weight on that, that's when they'll feel it. So I wait until after I start out with a few patches to see if they're still hurting once they're up and mobile. And that way I can say, okay, it decreased the inflammation, it took away some of the pain. Now they're in really more like an acute pain, because that's now the bone is on bone and it's throbbing, it's aching, it's sharp or whatever. And I put that freedom patch right where the point of pain is so that they can walk and move about pain free. So you have to be strategic about your patches. So the Liberty, the Victory are the ones that I put on first to see how much pain how much their pain level can go down with just the Liberty and the Victory. Because if these patches don't just decrease inflammation in joints, they decrease any inflammation that you may have systemically. Okay, so any type of inflammation, if you got gastritis, if you got tonsillitis, if you got pancreatitis, any of the itises which denote inflammation. Okay, appendicitis is an inflammation of the appendix. So it's going to mitigate, and I want to say this: super patch does not make any medical claims. It does not profess to cure, treat, or heal any types of illnesses or diseases, but it aids and assists in the symptoms in a phenomenal way. I'm gonna add that part, in a phenomenal way. It aids and assists in an amazing way. Yes, B,
Oh,
you look like you
you
want to
cut it
say
in and
something.
out. Yeah, you just kind of cut it in and out.
Okay,
But I did want to slow. I want to
is it
stop back and go back to something that you just said. Placement. Placement is everything, right?
mm-hmm.
In terms of where we're placing the patches at, because I always say, what is your main pain area, and then I place it on the
Mm-hmm.
flat surface closest to it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's important. But what you also said was, even if I place it in their most pain area, it's going to take care of some other stuff around it,
Around it, yeah.
which is awesome to know. Because
Well,
I ran into someone yesterday. She got her patches, and she was like, "Well, I still kind of feel the pain." And I asked her, I said, "Where did you put the patches at?" "Oh, I put them all on my arm." And I said,
mm-hmm.
"No, you have to put it closest to the area of that pain so it can go there first,
Mm-hmm.
right?" Once she moved them, she was like, "Oh, I got total relief now." I said, "I told you."
Yeah, yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
important
It's
part.
important.
The
It's
placement
very
is important,
important.
and that we attack it correctly. I like when you said, let's start with these first, and then we follow up with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Ladder.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So
Yeah.
when I talk about that throbbing, right? That throbbing like a heartbeat. That's what I call it, a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that when we bring in the peace?
Well, I actually was gonna correct myself, because with the piece is usually the one that I'll do dead dog last, like my kids used to say, dead dog
Okay.
last.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
this is why the assessment, or asking your customer questions.
Okay.
What That's why it's important. They just say, "Oh, I'm hurting. Oh, my knees. Oh, my knee." Don't assume that it's arthritis. It more than likely, if they say my knee is hurting, it's arthritis, but you don't know that. Maybe they had a car accident and they got pins and plates and here and there, and they got hardware. So don't assume it's arthritis just because they say my knee or my hip or whatever. You don't know. So ask them, uh, where is their pain. This is key for the super patch associates that may be watching. And you don't have to be medical to know how to properly place the patches. All you got to do is listen to what they're saying and then refer to the list that we have of the indications of the patch. So if they tell you arthritis, and you know that's an inflammation in between the joints, okay, so you know they're going to need our anti-inflammation patches, which is going to be your Liberty and your Victory. Okay. You'll know to decide between the Liberty and Victory whether or not they're younger or older. Okay. And which is going to denote the activity level. If they're very active and they're on the move and they're on their feet and they're constantly going and the pain is slow, they definitely going to need that Victory because they're more agile. They're more mobile because the Victory was designed with the athlete in mind. So the Victory has all of the qualities of the Liberty with improved agility and strength and ability, which a lot of times we'll put. Well, you say, well, why would you put a Victory on an 80-year-old person? Because once the Liberty makes them mobile, okay, because a lot of times they'll say, I don't have any strength, because they haven't been moving around. So they need that extra boost. They need that improvement in their agility. They need the improvement in their endurance so that they can walk further than they would with just the Liberty. Okay? They can move about longer. They can stand longer. They can go from being able to stand 5 seconds to 10 seconds at rest. So that's the difference the Victory is going to make in someone older, other than just an athlete, that's younger. So that's why it's so important for us to ask questions. And what did the doctor say? This is another key factor while we're talking about that, V, that I want to mention. If the doctor says, because I'm going to ask you, do you have any limitations? And that's not a popular question amongst non-medical people to ask. Most people will say, where is your pain? What type of pain? But I'm going to ask, especially if you've had a surgery, especially if it's involving your back, because I don't want to cause any spinal cord injuries. Okay. Because the patch is not healing, it's taking away the sensation of pain. And we got to keep that in mind. Okay. So the patch is not healing the bone on bone. The patch is not healing the bulging disc. Okay. It's taking away the sensation of the pain. So whatever injury is still there. So what we don't want to do is cause further damage or further injury. Now, somebody that's had a surgery, or so I ran into people that say the doctor told me not to raise my arm no higher than the level of my shoulder. This is as high as they told me I can go, or else I could re-injure it. Those people need to be educated. If they feel no pain, that doesn't mean go up here. If the doctor has given you physical limitation, most of the time the doctor's going to say you got as much range of motion as you can stand.
Right.
If that's the case, then when we put that patch on that shoulder and you can go here, that's fine.
Right.
If you go from being able to do this to do this, I had a lady this weekend at the vending event. She went from this to this.
I saw that.
She was shocked. But if the doctor has said, don't go any higher than a certain range or a certain degree, whether it's your hip, your shoulder, you don't need to do that. If he or she tells you that, that means you could further injure. You could further tear something. You could mess up the hardware. Okay? Because maybe he fixed you to only go here. Maybe you got screws in that only allow. And if you go up here, you'll pop that screw and you wouldn't even feel it because you're not having pain.
That makes sense. I've adapted to that because I've heard you say that before. And so that's my leading question now. Do you have any limitations? And sometimes they'll say, what do you mean?
Right.
Well,
and these are doctor ordered now, because people are going to tell you, oh, I can't go no higher than this. And I always say, did the doctor tell you not to go any higher?
Or do you right.
So that's why that's the distinguishing factor. Doctor ordered or doctor recommended limitation. Don't take that leg out this high, because when you got hip replacements, you have a number of degrees you can externally and internally rotate that hip. You're not supposed to add up depending on how long ago they had the surgery or whatever. So those are great questions to ask, because if they know what the doctor has said or the physical therapist, even if they're 100%, if they pain go from a 10 to a 0, they still need to comply.
Right. That makes sense. Y'all listen. You still gotta comply with what the doctor's telling you in terms of having those limitations. If it's
Yes.
because of you could injure more or break the
and
hardware,
and you
right?
and you wouldn't know it because you're not having any pain. If you do tear it further, or if you do pop a screw or a nail, you're not gonna feel it. So because pain is the fifth vital sign. You got
Mm-hmm.
your heart rate, your pulse, you got your pulse, which is your heart rate, your respirations, your breathing, your blood pressure, and then your oxygen level. Those are four. Pain is the fifth vital sign. A lot of times, that's how you know something is wrong, by being in pain. So if you're not having any pain, and you raise that arm here, and doctor's orders is don't go further than here, and you pop whatever they did, or you tore your rotator even worse, you won't know it.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So we've talked about victory, we talked about liberty, we talked about freedom. Why do we pair these other two?
Okay, that's a great question. The defend is, and let me say this with your seniors. Defend is they every senior should wear liberty and defend every day because of what they do. Okay? So every senior, even if you don't take any meds, even if you don't have, I know seniors that don't have, they're in such great health, they don't have any chronic illness. They don't have diabetes and high blood pressure and thyroid. They actually take no meds. But it's still great for seniors because the Liberty is going to give it's anti-aging. We don't hardly talk about it that much, but the Liberty has an anti-aging factor to it, indication, excuse me, and it along with the balancing. Okay. And then the defend, it boosts, it has three indications on it. The defend improves your natural immunity, the body's ability to fight out. And we know in this post pandemic era we live in, that everyone, not just seniors, but of course seniors are more susceptible because by age. Age becomes a risk factor after, I think, like age becomes a risk factor, I think, after age 65, making you more susceptible to certain things. So the defend patch is going to boost your immunity. The other thing that it's going to do, which is so important, is improve blood flow. That's the thing I love about the defend, because that's the one out of the three indications that is my favorite as a registered nurse, because improved blood flow can mitigate or help with so many other problems. So when people have what is called peripheral vascular disease, PVD, CAD, which is coronary artery disease, atherosclerosis, which is the hardening of the arteries. All of those things decrease blood flow. They make you more susceptible to a heart attack. They make you more susceptible to blood clots. The clots break off from your calves and go up to your heart or to your brain and cause stroke, or what we call pulmonary embolus, go to the lungs. Um, Go to the heart and cause a heart attack. So when you improve the blood flow, if you've got sickle cell, that's the crisis. Is where those sickle shaped red blood cells clump together and cause pain because they don't flow freely in that crisis through the blood vessels. So the defend instantly within 30 minutes, it's been clinically proven, and they have pictures of it. The red blood cells go from being this close and on top of each other to almost flowing freely without even touching in the blood plasma as it flows through the brain. So I mean through the vessel. So you can regrow. You can start to regrow hair because if you're thinning up here, you're going to improve your blood flow to the scalp, because as you age, it's harder to get blood flow to the crown of your scalp. You can
Wow.
you can improve your peripheral vascular disease, your neuropathy. You're going to improve the blood flow. The blood feeds the nerve endings. The nerves are going to then be revitalized and stop causing that stinging, the pins and the sticking in the lower extremities and in the hand, the fingers and the digits. So the blood flow, I mean, I could go on and on. You're going to improve the health of your organs because they're going to be getting. I had a lady yesterday. She can't get her uh, she can't get her oxygen. She's anemic, and no matter what she does, no matter how much iron she takes, she can. But I told her, well, what we can do is improve the blood flow, so that the oxygen that you do have, even though it's not up to par, your hemoglobin is low, but the oxygen that you do have, we can ensure that the blood is flowing freely, and maybe you won't be as tired. Okay. Wow.
Wow.
So it's the when you improve, because blood is life. Life is in the
Yeah.
blood. The Bible said life is in the blood. So if you have decreased blood flow or poor blood flow, it goes into, we could be on here 2 hours talking about all the implications of poor blood flow. So that's why I say every senior should be on those 2 patches.
Look, everybody should. Hey, look, I'm on it. I wear Defend every single day.
And then the third indication of that
Both of
defend
these.
is it improves your natural healing ability. Y'all, your body makes clots every day, all day, but most of them, because of the body's natural systems, because you got factors in the blood that cause the clots, so that if you cut yourself while you're cooking or you get a paper cut at work, though it makes the clots to keep you from bleeding out. And then you got other factors in the blood that are also breaking down clots as they form. Okay, the body is a wonderfully crafted design. So clots have a purpose. Okay, but if the clot is too big or goes to the wrong place, it can be deadly. So God made our bodies where it makes clots to protect us from bleeding out. And we injure the inside. We don't see the injuries we do on the inside of our body. We injure the inside of our body, but you never know it because your body's system goes to work to repair the internal damages done. We can have internal bleeding as well as the injuries from on the skin from the outside. So that improving the natural healing abilities is so important. So the defend patch, that being said, a lot of times people's pain is related to poor blood flow. They'll have that throbbing in their feet. They'll have an ache in their leg because the blood is not flowing freely to the lower extremities.
That is so real because, like I say, I wear Defend every single day. If I don't put it on any other patch, I wear Defend every single day. Like today is my meal prep day, and so I I moved around this morning real quick that I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to. But on my meal prep day, I always add these two with my Defend. That's my patch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like you said, I rarely have to put this one on because I went here. Yeah. And so
And
that's meal prep day.
that prolonged wearing, because we always say super patch does not claim to heal or medical claims, but it has been clinically proven that wearing the patches every day, especially if you have inflammation like your arthritis, your degenerative joint disease, your bulging disc, different things like that, because it decreases, because it's anti-inflammatory. And that is a physical change. That's not
Right.
just brain body. That is a physical change. And it has been clinically proven by the researchers of super patch and the developers that prolonged wearing it consistently for prolonged periods permanently recircuits, rewires, create new neural pathways, so that if it's, because I've seen people in a few minutes decrease their inflammation, and then after another day you can physically see it. And
Yes.
prolonged wearing of the patches can ultimately eliminate the inflammation. If you
My mom.
if you catching it, if it's not a bone on bone, you can permanently decrease the inflammation if you wear those patches 6 months to a year to 2 years, and it can totally rewire, reprogram. That's why consistency is key with the Liberty and the Victory patches.
Absolutely. So we kind of touched on it, but we didn't go all the way there with it. With the peace patch, what
Okay,
I
so
find, like you said, you bring it on last.
yeah.
But when I talk to someone, and for instance, last night was an emotional moment for me because I went and patched a young lady that hadn't walked in, what was it, 3 or 4 years at all. She's wheelchair bound, literally, right? And so at that very moment, I knew she was going to have some fear of even trying. So I went on and just put I put all 5 on her because I already knew what was, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about somebody that has either had a stroke and they not using certain things or they just have knots, I went ahead and did all 5 out the gate,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I did it on both of her knees. Now, one of her knees, she said she can kind of move a little bit. The other one, she was like, it doesn't move at all. So I patched the one that has absolutely no mobile at all. And
Mm-hmm.
then I said to her, I say, well, what about your other knee? Do you move it at all? She said, yeah, but it does still kind of bother me. And honestly, I just be afraid to even try to move it. I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So what did I do? I went here again with all 5.
Right.
I let her sit for a while. I said, well, while you're sitting there, start trying to move both of them. I said, let's go 5 times here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then she went on the other side. She started moving. As she got comfortable moving, which I know this is what the comfortability was, because she's calming down and giving that confidence of saying, okay, let me just try, right? A little bit after that, she stood up. Her daughter was like, she's never stood that long. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And so she sat back down. And I said, okay, well, let's just keep moving. I said, at this point, I'm still having a conversation with her. And I say to her, well, what about your back? Does your back bother you? She says, yeah, it always does because all I do is sit. So all I had to do was put on victory and liberty. I didn't have to do the pain. I didn't have to do all 3 of these. I just did these 2. As she sat there, she was like, okay, I'm going to try again. I'm about to get emotional all over again, Lord. When she got up the next time, she took 3 steps. And we all, her daughter, her son, and me, we were just all like, oh my God, oh my God. We literally just went into tears. And I said, this is why I do it. This is
Yeah.
why I do it.
Yeah.
And she says, I haven't been able to do that. Oh my God, oh my God. I said, have a seat. I said, because you're not done yet. She was like, huh? I said, because I want you to be able to go from here to there before I leave. I'm having a conversation with her. I'm talking to her. She gets up on her own at this point. And she's like, okay, I'm going to try it again. I said, okay. And so at this point, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She has taken 7 steps.
Wow.
And we were just all like, just in tears. Because at
Yeah.
this point, they start calling. Her daughter got on the phone call and they all start calling, oh my God, oh my God. She called her sister. She like, girl, you're not even answering your phone. I'm over here walking. But that's why we do it, right? That's why we pair all 5 of these, because when you're talking about somebody that has 0 mobility at all,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to need that fantabulous 5,
Well,
right?
let me say this about the peace.
Okay.
And I let me say this: you will be spirit led with these patches.
Yes.
If you have the spirit of God, you will. I don't want to make it all preachy and over sensationalize it, but I have been led. I've been getting ready to go do my thing, and then I've heard the spirit say, I like you said, sometimes you just got to calm the person down. They had walked in years, so they already heart is pounding, they already nervous. So you don't want them clenching up internally even more than they
Yeah.
already. So that's the leading of the spirit. So I will say that be led, be open, because God he helping us. He wants these people to walk. He wants them to get their life back. So he's just as excited as we are for the people to
Absolutely.
be patched. So he wants to say, hey, not the victory, but put on the peace, not the this, but put on. And I've had that experience where he's led me. But I would say for all practical purposes, I do with me having asked the question, because my philosophy, I try to put on the least amount of patches with the maximum results. So that's how I move, because I'm looking for what's sustainable for my customers.
Right.
Meaning when I say what's sustainable, what is the most cost efficient? What is the most cost efficient thing they can do? What's their budget? And then what is, I'm sorry, my phone keeps ringing. Can you hear me?
You can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, and then what is the easiest? Meaning, so what's the most cost effective, and if they have to put on 7 patches, will they even physically be able to do it? Sometimes people just are older or whatever. So that's my MO, how I
Mm-hmm.
look at it. And that's why I ask so many questions so that I can make sure I get them the right patch for the symptom. But I usually, if they tell me they have knee and back pain or neck and back, and then they got arthritis also, so they got the knee and the hip and the shoulder, then I do the Liberty and the Freedom first. I start
Okay.
with the Liberty and I give them time to get it. I don't patch anymore for about 2 to 5 minutes to see how they're going to
How that
respond to
works.
the Liberty. Because I have had the Liberty just totally take the pain. I have had that happen with people that don't have pain that is involving the nerves, nerve related pain. So with the peace, which is for calming and stress relieving, you wouldn't even think it has anything to do with pain, but because it relaxes the nerves. Okay, so your neuropathies, your sciatica, your bulging disc, or your compression fractures, where the vertebrae is compressed and pressing on the spine. That's all. Anything involving the spine. If they've had a spinal injury, that's where the back pain is coming
Mm-hmm.
from. If they have sciatica and that pain is running down, or they got neuropathy, I say
Yes.
the peace patch for last, because sometimes a person with neuropathy and sciatica, they'll be relieved with just the Liberty and the Freedom. But if they say, I still feel something
Right.
kind of, if I still feel a little, I have to put that peace. That peace knocks it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so that's my MO. If it's a nerve related pain, chances are, if they have neuropathy or sciatica or some type of an injury to the spine,
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna need that piece because it's
And
involving the nerves.
I ran into that night before last with a gentleman that he had some pain in his foot, some burning sensation, and he just told me, he said, I've been to the doctor, I've been to specialists, and they can't find anything. They
Mhm.
don't know what's going on. So I just said, okay, let's start with the Liberty and the Victory. And I let him sit there for a moment. And I said, how are you feeling? I checked in on his eye. How are you feeling? He said, well, it's kind of done went away. He said, but I kind of still feel it. That
Mhm.
immediately told me, let's put the piece on.
Put that
Yeah.
piece on, and it'll wipe it out. And now I want to talk about two other things that I don't hear spoken of, and I've seen
Okay.
some pictures. Is that real quick before we go off? Is the cellulitis
Oh, yes.
that defend patch? That defend patch is really going to help cellulitis because of why? The improved blood flow, okay, and then the inflammation, the natural healing ability. So the Liberty plus the Defend, you got the Liberty with the anti-inflammatory is going to help with the inflammation in those cells in the lower extremity, and okay, and then you got the improved blood flow. Okay, and then you got the natural healing ability.
Mm-hmm.
So the cellulitis is going to be helped with that, and also your lymphedema. You see people with the
Listen, I hate to cut you off. My mother called me yesterday. My mother called me yesterday, and I'm sure she won't mind me saying it, but oh well, hoping she don't, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Oh well. Listen, so she went to back to the doctor, right? And she was diagnosed with what's the word? Oh my God. I think you just said it. When your leg is right, swole really big up top. What is it
yeah, it's
called?
the lymphedema, lymphedema.
Lymphedema, but it was something else. It's something else. Not that one. Oh God, it's a hypo and a something. Oh, what is it? Oh God, I can't.
Hypothyroid.
That's it. Yeah, she was diagnosed with that.
Okay.
Y'all, I told her to give me her doctor's paperwork because I want to show. They came back yesterday and told her they don't see it anymore.
Wow.
Y'all, this is what she wears. Like, and I'm sitting here saying, Mama, that's because they defend, that blood flow. I say, and that Victory, I said, oh my God. I said, you got to send me that doctor's, you got to send me that
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
even her upper thigh has gone down
Gone
tremendously.
down. Yeah. Yeah. Blood, life is in the blood. Everything the body needs to heal, whether it be cancer, whether it be an inflammation, whether it's all, it gets it from the blood.
I'm
It gets
telling
it
y'all,
from the blood.
listen, she started having testimonies after testimonies after testimonies because she's been patching since the end of August. You hear me? And I'm just like, say, can't nobody tell me nothing. I know what's happening. We
B,
make no medical claims, but these testimonies are real.
they speak for themselves. B, do you see any questions in the comments? Because I can't
Let me
see
see.
anything
I
that's
can't see any either. Let me see if I can see them over here on my side
okay.
on the
Okay.
laptop. Let me see.
I want to make sure we're not missing anybody if they got questions.
Oh, my uncle Darrell says sciatic is giving her the blues. Wow. I guess because you talked about the sciatic. Oh, okay. Let me see what else I got. I don't see no questions yet. I don't see no questions.
Okay. Okay. I just
But
want
this
to
is
make
why
sure.
I love to have you come on because it jogs my memory of testimonies and it jogs my memory of why they work.
Yes.
Y'all, we got a registered nurse of 26 years that is not going to jeopardize her license
Oh
to tell
no.
us no anything.
No,
It
no.
ain't gonna happen, right? We
Right.
make no medical claims, but the testimonies speak for themselves. So today we talked about chronic pain, we talked about regular pain, and we talked about when to and how to place the patches, when to add, when to take away, when we need them, when we don't. Listen, this Defend patch, it's an everyday wear for me. I wear it every single day. And I just turned 46, and I'm still gonna wear it every single day.
Yes. Yes.
Every single day. On my meal prep day, which is Wednesday, I go here. I wear these three Wednesday. This is what I put on because if I don't put them on later on, I find myself having to add an extra one. But if I
Okay.
do the preventive maintenance, I don't
Yes.
have to put it on.
Yes.
So what I
An
say
ounce,
to
an ounce
everyone,
of
go
prevention
ahead.
is worth a pound of cure.
That's what I was getting ready to say. You know, you have some people say, "Well, ain't nothing wrong with me. I don't need to wear them." Preventive maintenance, honey.
How they say, if you got skin, you need the patch.
If you have skin, you need the patch. If it's nothing but two,
Those
I would
two.
say these two are everyday wear.
Yes.
If nothing
Yes.
else, these two are everyday wear, every single day.
Yes.
And this is for my healthy people. Now, if you're athletic and you go working out, then you need to go here. I'm just saying. So if y'all have any questions, concerns, listen, if you're watching and you are a customer, client, love Hephzibah, you hit her page, you get her link, and you support her. That's what we do here, right? If you know me, you love me, and you want to support me, that's fine. But make sure you go back to the person that you seen this video on, which is either myself or her, because we work in what? Integrity, right?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Every Wednesday, y'all gonna meet us right back here around about the same time, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Wellness Wednesday with Coach V and registered nurse Hephzibah Beulah. We love y'all so much. We're signing out. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. Have
Bye
a good one.
bye.
Bye.